everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. A big thank you to everybody who has subscribed. If you have not subscribed, please do so that you will get a notification each time I upload a new video. In my last video, I was making arrangements to move out of my auntie's house. The first place I went to was on the outskirts of Nairobi, and I chose outskirts of Nairobi because I thought I would be saving on rent. However, I quickly realized that when you live on the outskirts of Nairobi, you have to wake up very early in the morning, and depending on traffic, you might not get to work on time. So I quickly realized these challenges, both going to work and going back home after work. You're stuck in traffic, and even though you are saving on rent in terms of it being low, that money is still used elsewhere in terms of transport, because you have to get from where you live to your place of work. So I quickly realized that this was a mistake and started looking for a place near where I worked. So after 2 months, I got a place that was near town and found a nice extension, also known as a servant quarter, in Langata. Even though I was paying a little bit more in terms of rent in Langata, Langata had an advantage because it was near town. Security was also very good in that area. So I think when you are thinking about where to move to, there are many things you need to put into consideration. First of all, you need to consider how far it is from your place of work, how long it takes you to get to and from work. Number two, you need to consider the security in the area you'll be living, because if you live in a place that does not have good security, it becomes a problem, because sometimes you might work late, and when you're going back home at night, you tend to feel insecure, or you don't even know what is going to happen to you. So personally, when I'm thinking of moving, those are the two things I consider: transport network and the security of the area I intend to live in. I settled very well in Langata. It was convenient, it had security. However, it had its other side, because Langata was well known for water shortage. We would go for many days without running water in the town. So with water shortages, it meant most households had to store water. So you would buy very big plastic containers and store your water there when it came, and the water would normally come in the night. If you had left your tap open, you could hear the water trickling down, and you had to get up and fetch that water, store it, because you did not know when you would next have running water. The water shortage was so serious that most of the time we relied on water vendors. These are people who would walk around in the estate selling water. Yes, it was that bad, because there were times when we would go for so long without water. You would use up all the water you had stored, and it got to a point where you would be left with no option but to buy water from the water vendors. But apart from that, Langata was a very safe neighborhood. My first house was in Southlands. I stayed in Southlands for a while, and then got a much bigger place in still part of Langata, but the area known as Otiende. One of the things I realized when I eventually found myself living on my own, when you're growing up living in a family, or even living with relatives, you've always got people around you as you go to work, and when you come back, you're coming back to a house with activity, with brothers and sisters, mom and dad, or the relatives you're living with. But when you move out, that's when it hits you that you are alone, and you're also responsible for your day-to-day life. When I was growing up, I looked forward to the day I would be free, I would be independent to go and come as I wished. But when I finally got to that point, I realized how lonely it can get when you are living alone. This is after you have left home. So I struggled the first 6 months with loneliness. I was just on my own. In the morning, I go to work and come back to an empty house. I've got nobody to talk to. And it was quite scary to start with. And there were times when I missed my relatives. I missed my a complete family unit, just to have somebody to talk with. When you're young, you are looking forward to the day you will be independent. But what we forget is that freedom comes with responsibility. So you have to be responsible for your actions. You have to make sure that wherever you're living is nice and tidy. You have to make sure you've got food in your cupboard. So freedom comes with responsibilities. Living alone also meant I had to plan my meals. I had to create time to cook. I had also to learn how to do my laundry. And this is where the life skills you've been taught by your parents or your guardians come in. I'll give an example of myself. When I was growing up, the routine was when you get up in the morning, of course, you will have a shower. After shower, you'll go have breakfast. Kind of like a routine, a systematic way of doing things. And because I was so used to this kind of routine, when I started living alone, I just continued with it. And my mom was very tough on me. You had to be in the house at a given time. So I realized even now that I had gotten my freedom and I could go and come as I wished, there was a particular time when it got to 6 o'clock, I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to be in my house. This goes to show that the life skills you are taught by your parents and guardians are very important because it's a foundation. Up to now, I think the way I conduct my life is a mirror of what my mom and dad taught me. It's very interesting because they passed on those life skills, and I tend to do things the way my mom taught me. So apart from the initial 6 months where I was a bit lonely and I struggled to accept that I was now living as an independent adult, I quickly overcame that, and after a while I bounced back and started appreciating the responsibility that comes with freedom. I got into a routine. I knew I was in charge of my life. I also knew that I had to create time to keep my house tidy, go food shopping. And after about 9 months, I was now comfortable in my new house. I was settled. I had furnished it. I had just made it so homely, nice and comfortable. And I began enjoying the freedom of living alone. Most of the times during weekends, I would still reach out to my aunt. So I would go spend a lot of time at my auntie's place, and just to catch up and also get that family support. And they would normally call me on a Friday afternoon and tell me, can you just if you have time, visit us over the weekend. From time to time I would call my mom and talk to her. If I was not with my relatives over the weekend, sometimes I would go out with my colleagues in the finance department. We would go out for a drink and socialize. In today's video, we have seen how when you're thinking of moving out, there are 1 or 2 things you need to put into consideration. The distance of where you'll be living to your place of work, the security of that place you intend to move to. I look for a place that has good transport network and security. We have also seen how, in as much as when we are growing up, we want that freedom, we want to live on our own. When you finally get there, it can be a little bit daunting and lonely. When that moment comes, you are excited, but as soon as you move to your new house, you realize you're all by yourself. You are accountable for your actions. You are actually running a home for the very first time, and that can be a bit scary. With time, you tend to adjust and then just move on with your life. In my next video, we will see how the global economy was changing at around that time when I moved out and became independent, and those economic changes had an impact on my family. So we will see how those economic changes affected my family, and also other issues began to crop up, personal issues, and a lot was happening. After some time, we will see what direction my life is going to take. So I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.